Hello, welcome to the religion track on my video channel. If you're interested, there's a parallel track on the social sciences, and if I have enough time to prepare them, I'm also hoping to prepare some more videos on modern history later in the year. Today, I'm going to talk about membership of religious movements and organizations. This is the first of the three-part series of videos on religious movements, and I will return to the topic of sociology of religion later in the year, I hope. It's based on an essay I wrote back in April 2019. Please note that the focus here is sociological historical and not theological. Like other sociologists of religion, I am looking for general ways of understanding religious movements and organizations and the general patterns of human action related to such movements. I've also kept the number of examples I cite here to a minimum for the sake of clarity and to ensure that the video isn't too long. This is not yet an academic article with lots of footnotes. So, what do we actually mean when we say that someone is a member of a particular religion? There's no straightforward answer to that question. In general, most people do not consciously choose their religion. Rather, they inherit their religious identity from their parents and family members through the normal processes of socialization into a particular cultural group. This process may be explicit, as when the child is sent to religious education classes, but it's often largely implicit in the social involvements, beliefs, and practices which the parents impart to the child as it grows up. For example, family religious rituals such as saying grace before meals, taking the child to church, temple, or mosque, and so on. Later, the adolescent may be expected to affirm their membership of the religious community as a social marker for entering adulthood, as in the Jewish bar mitzvah for boys, bat mitzvah for girls, but this is not universal. Note that the importance of religious identity varies greatly between individuals. For some, it's a central belief, central aspect of their own sense of identity, defining who they are and dominating their behaviors and social interactions. For others, however, it plays an essentially peripheral role. An individual's level of religiousness is not fixed and may vary over time, reflecting both their personal life experiences and the wider social context in which they live. Such changes may include the following: the personal search for meaning, becoming more or less religious in response to life crises, for example, as a coping mechanism or as an expression of despair, or to changes in life context, as when people move from a rural environment to an urban or international one through the process of migration. Thirdly, turning to religious identity as a means of communal identity, and finally becoming less religious when alternative options become socially available, as with recreational sport and popular entertainment. It must be emphasized that such processes are not deterministic. There may well be general trends, as in the 19th century in France, when it was often said that a formerly devout Breton peasant would cease to be religious the moment he, or I suppose she, stepped off the train in Paris and began a new life as a big city immigrant. But individuals vary and make their own decisions. Note that personal religious identity is normally related to and shaped by membership of a particular religious group. The case of hidden identities will be considered below. Such groups include both local congregations, which may function as real communities, and the wider translocal or even transnational religious organizations of which the local communities form part, as with, for example, the Anglican Communion or Sociological. Groups vary enormously in their nature, including in their criteria for membership, the degree of control which they try to exert over their members, and the penalties which they may exact on those who have deviated from their norms, which in some cases may include penance, expulsion from the group, and even, in the not too distant past, death. The social role of the local religious community and the larger groups to which they belong can be enormous, including providing a pool of possible marriage partners, schools to help in the socialization of children, and in some cases even social networks which facilitate finding employment. In groups with some form of clerisy, such as monks, priests, rabbis, ulama, religious institutions can also provide particular means for social advancement for the individual as a cleric. The case of hidden religious identities is possibly something you've not thought about before, but historically has been important. It's most likely to occur in situations where individuals are compelled to be members of a religious organization which they do not themselves believe in. A notable example was the forced conversions of Jews and Muslims by the Spanish authorities from the 1490s onwards. Threatened with torture and death, many members of these religious minorities accepted baptism as Christians, but, unsurprisingly, many of these new converts maintained their original religious identity in secret and brought up their children as crypto-Jews and crypto-Muslims. There have also been crypto-Christians living under the threat of persecution in the pagan Roman Empire or in Japan during the period when Christianity was illegal from 1643 to 1858. Again, there have been crypto-Christians living under some of the 20th century communist regimes. Again, there were crypto-pagans in the Roman Empire after it had been Christianized, some of whom were actually executed for their beliefs. And in Europe during the period of the religious law wars in the early modern period, crypto-Protestants in Catholic countries and crypto-Catholics in Protestant countries. Some crypto communities have successfully survived for hundreds of years, such as the secret Jews of Belmonte in Portugal. Membership distinctions can exist in many religious movements. The most obvious of these is when you have a clerical strata, and that means priests and monks and the like, with clerics being contrasted with the mass of the laity. But there may also be formal distinctions within the religious community as a whole, for example, between those who are recognized as full members of the religion and those who aspire to membership, who are often required to undergo some sort of religious initiation ceremony before they can become full members of the community. For example, in those Christian groups which require adult baptism before somebody is fully admitted to the community. The actual distinctions employed in a particular religion vary enormously, as with the various forms of Christian priesthood, ranging from the elaborate church hierarchy of Roman Catholicism to the simple pastorships of many Protestant groups. It is of note that in the Catholic case, clerics have to be both ordained, which sets them apart from the laity, and appointed to a particular clerical rank, which may range from a lowly priest to a high-ranking cardinal. There are often gradations of commitment within a religious community, ranging from a core of highly committed activists through a wider circle of members who are less actively involved but still committed, to an outer fringe of those who are only marginally involved. There may also be a circle of sympathizers who are attracted to the religion but not yet members. These gradations may be formally recognized by believers or an informal part of the life of the particular religious community. Religious groups may also develop what are called commitment mechanisms so as to try to increase the participation of members. I'll maybe talk about that in another video. This is a concept first developed in relationship to the sociology of social movements by Rosabeth Kanter. I will give the reference below. Briefly, individuals are more likely to remain members of a particular movement the more they have invested their time, energies, and resources to it. Correspondingly, movements which are able to successfully motivate their members to make such investments are more likely to survive than those which don't. A final contrast is that religious movements vary along a scale of exclusivity and inclusivity. Traditionally, the Western monotheisms of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam have generally had an exclusive concept of religious membership. The world is divided between believers and unbelievers, and membership of one religion means one cannot be a member of another. This is not a universal concept, however, of what religion is like, and in many societies it's considered quite normal to have more than one sense of religious belonging at a time, a subject for another day. Next week I will talk about conversion in religious groups and organizations. Thank you for listening. If you like these videos, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel. I will try to answer any questions you may have about this video in a future video. By the way, for those of you who want to support the development of the channel can do so through my Patreon or PayPal accounts. I will give details below the video. You can also click the like button so that I can get an idea of which videos are of greatest interest to viewers. Thank you. Have a good day.